and Madam Deputy Mayor, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. I'm a resident of the Strathcona neighbourhood, Ward 1. More specifically, I live on Dundurn North, and right now I love my neighbourhood. I love Hamilton. A little bit about myself. I work in Burlington, and even though I have a car, I use transit. I use the GO bus. I use Burlington Transit. If I'm going to Toronto, I don't drive. I use the GO system. I'm fully committed to using transit. A little bit about our neighbourhood. Dundurn North was converted to 2 lanes of traffic where a little after we moved in about 7-8 years ago, and we put in bike lanes. Our neighbours successfully fought to get trucks off of Dundurn with the truck off initiative. With these, now when we moved in, these initiatives just started. So we experienced Dundurn as a traffic almost freeway, and then these initiatives came in and they improved the walking and the walkability of the street. Before the changes were made, it was unnerving to walk down the street beside the traffic. Walking along Dundurn between King and York was unpleasant at best and fear-inducing at worst. I was truly disappointed to find out that the intention is to add an additional lane of traffic to Dundurn North and remove these bike lanes. It's an invitation for traffic to funnel along from King and to go down there. I've heard our street being called an arterial road. To me, it's a residential road. There are a few businesses. There's a hairdresser, a corner store, tombstone, like a cemetery thing, and a few more things, but mostly it's housing. It's housing. So I'd like you to imagine all of a sudden having those 3 lanes of traffic going down outside your door. Another thing about that street is we don't have a very wide sidewalk. If I'm walking beside someone, that person I'm walking beside, they're walking almost at the curb. Sometimes I'll jump into the bike lane because it's easier if someone's coming towards me. 3 people can't pass. So yeah, I was truly disappointed that the intention is to filter the traffic down there. It kind of goes against what I thought the LRT was to be, an alternative to the car culture that we have in Hamilton. I believe if you build that third lane of traffic, they're going to drive it. When my wife and I have mentioned our disappointment to LRT supporters, to council members that support it, I don't get a lot of feedback. I'm not really engaged. I feel a distance, and the discussion kind of ends. I think we're very yes LRT, no LRT. I'm not sure if we're there yet. And I've been here since 9:30, as everyone can see. A lot of people can see from the discussions we've had all day. There's a little bit of animosity between the 2 sides. I was going to put I support LRT, that was my notes, but I'm going to say I want to support LRT, but I need to know that intentionally displacing traffic to my neighbourhood is not a viable option. The plans for King look great. I've seen the pictures. I see the brights. I think someone called it the sexy LRT train going down the street. I see a walkable city. I see people walking. I see green space. It looks great. To me, that's my neighborhood now, and I don't know if LRT goes through, if that's going to be what it's going to be like in the future. So again, very worried. I think our city planners need to look at alternatives. I've heard my neighbors suggest other solutions. I don't have any myself, but I'm sure that they're out there. There's been talk over the years of making Main 2-way, making King more pedestrian friendly, as I said. If this needs to be accomplished by destroying another neighborhood or impacting, maybe I'm a bit too close to it to call it destroying, but if it's going to affect another neighborhood negatively, I don't know if we can call that a success. My neighbors, young families with strollers, older adults with mobility devices, whether it's a cane or a walker or whatever, we shouldn't have to worry as we walk down our street. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you, Samantha. We have one councillor that would like to ask you a question. Councillor Jackson.
Thanks, Madam Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Samantha. Nice to meet you. Samantha, I mentioned this, I think, maybe at the last marathon meeting in March. and there's been, I think, a column or two in the media since about the cycling community and the public transit community and being sometimes in conflict or at odds. I get it from the single-family car standpoint, as those who promote alternative modes of transportation feel like that they have to change attitudes from the traditional with a single-family car. But I found during the transit-only lane, the 1 year we had the experiment on King, if I recall, a number of cyclists wanted the ability to use the TOL, the transit-only lane, when the buses weren't there at that moment, but legally, logistically, we're told they could. So it's interesting you're raising this again, and I was hoping both communities that promote alternative modes of transportation, cycling, public transit, maybe can have more conversation. Are you aware that maybe there's those opportunities to kind of work out something, if you will?
Yeah, I think there are. I'm dealing with it more from my community where I walk to the corner store, where I walk my dog. I like the bike lane because it added a bit of a buffer. I know that wasn't the intention. I like the bike lane because I like to see those Tour de France guys go down every Sunday morning. So I do I do like that bike lane for those reasons, but I'm more of a walker. And that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about Dundurn. I'm worried about having what we would suggested is that they would move the bike lanes to Breadalbane, whatever they call it. That's where I walk. That's where I run. I see a possible danger there. I support the cycling community, but I'm really talking about walking. I'm talking about 3 lanes of traffic. I'm talking about, this is the environmental assessment. I'm talking about 3 lanes of traffic stuck outside my house. I'm talking about, danger when I'm walking my dog. I'm talking about my elderly neighbors. A lot of my neighbors are like in their 80s, 70s. I'm talking about them and having them being able to cross Dundurn and get across to the corner store. I see issues there, and like I said, I want to be pro LRT. I do support what it stands for, but I see that I don't think we're yet at a yes LRT, no LRT point yet. We're at a maybe. We need to have some more discussion about how it's going to affect individuals.
Sounds like a myriad of fronts that you're being a good advocate for and trying to bridge those different divides. So thanks for your response, Samantha. Thank you, Madam
But mostly my neighborhood. I want to stress that it's going to affect neighborhoods.
I applaud you for that.
I want that to be taken into consideration.
I applaud you for that, protecting them. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Green.
Thank you. And I do appreciate you being here today and raising these points, Samantha. And I'm not sure who your partner is, your wife, but I know I've been engaging you. We recently hosted a Facebook Live session, and that question did come out with Rosetta and some others that were asking similar types of questions.
True.
And I do believe Cycle Hamilton also came forward with a position on the bike lanes as it relates to complete streets and the experience. Have you been following the conversation around this table around Aberdeen and Dundurn and some of the other? So do you recognize that there has been an ongoing effort by inner-city councillors to provide safe, sustainable, walkable, complete streets for quite some time?
I have. I got worried because I attended the Strathcona, I don't know what the official term was, but Metrolinx and members of the city came in to talk about how it's going to impact our neighborhood. I read an article in the Spec before, so that's why I showed up for that meeting. And the feedback that we got as a community was, it's an arterial street. That's what's going to happen. That's what the traffic models say we have to do. It's a bit expensive to run a different traffic model to see if there are alternatives, which really, that really shocked me and, did not make me comfortable or secure that our neighborhood was going to be looked at and looked after. So yeah, I am aware, but I would like to see something concrete.
Sure.
Like we could do this, or we're going to try and do this. I want to see something concrete.
And I
wish Aidan was here because I wanted to interact with him.
It's certainly a long day, and folks are in or out trying to get it to work.
I've been here since 9:30. I know. Yeah.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate you for being here.
Yeah.
But I didn't want you to leave because you made the comment that perhaps you weren't engaged in the way. I wouldn't want you to leave without knowing fully that almost every week or every opportunity we have to advocate for complete streets, as inner city councillors, we do that.
Yep.
And the strangest thing happens. You know what happens, Samantha? Folks who don't necessarily live in the ward or represent or live in the community or the neighborhood who want to, for convenience reasons, use it as a drive-through, continue to provide obstructions to us to be able to create that experience for you. So I don't want you to think it's for naught. I want you to understand that your counselor fights for those very same things at every opportunity, and it's often, regardless of LRT, it's often at the detriment of folks who don't live in our community, who would just prefer to shave a couple minutes off and drive through our communities who obstruct that. So I want you to know that that's probably going to continue with or without LRT, that as we continue to try to make complete streets, we're going to continue to have that obstruction for other folks to have the convenience of shaving a couple minutes off their commute. But certainly everybody deserves to have safety in their neighborhood. So I appreciate you for advocating on that behalf, and certainly look forward to continued engagement.
Yeah, and thank you. But as I said, to go to that meeting and be told that your street is going to be, that's what we have to do, that's worrying for our community.
And I'm hopeful that as we continue this conversation, street design can help with the safety experience, just in terms of how we build out our streets when this does happen. And as I had mentioned before, there are built design ways that we can create a safer experience in a complete street model, even on arterials, that allow for that to happen. And I know we're doing that in my community, in Ward 3. We two-wayed Wentworth. We created bump outs and did some certain things. And so I just don't want you to feel like this project is going to abandon you in any way in your neighborhood, because there's still opportunities, despite the modeling, to create a safer street environment for your community. And that's always been our priority.
Okay. I'd like a little bit more, sorry, I don't want to be argumentative, but I think I'd like a little bit more. To hear the planners say, we're going to try, but, it's expensive, it takes up a lot of time to run another model, this seems like the best idea to us.
Sure.
It kind of sounds like a done deal to me. And I know, it's path of least resistance. We've done this looks like it's going to work, let's do it.
So just to be clear, though, Samantha, that's on the modeling for traffic flow.
Yeah.
And I'm not disputing that might be the case, that might be the way that it goes for the traffic flow. What I'm suggesting, though, is that there are opportunities in this infrastructure investment to create a model on your sidewalks and separations and dealing with things that can give you a better street escape experience. And that's what I want to look out for, and certainly I'm happy to take this offline and share some of the things that we've done, and I know your councillor would be more than happy to probably do the same.
Okay.
Councillor Johnson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I apologize for not being in the room. I was meeting with staff about a Ward 1 matter, and I heard most of your questions. And by the way, Councillor Green, thank you for jumping in. I appreciate it very much. The reconfiguration of lanes on York and Dundurn specifically is not a done deal.
Okay.
We are studying the best way to answer the question, how can we create a Hamilton in which public transit riders and bicyclists and pedestrians and car drivers and users of other forms of transportation, all 5 categories, if you will, are all accommodated. And intuitively, through you, Madam Chair, it can't be the case that in the era of LRT we throw bicyclists under the train, so to speak. There needs to be a way to create cooperation with everybody. And everybody has to make a bit of a sacrifice. And by everybody, I mean everybody. So, like Councillor Green, I am eager to continue this conversation offline. And on my word of honor, no final decisions have been taken. Okay. This question comes up all the time, and your input is valued and appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Aidan.
Thank you, Samantha.
Thank you.
And thank you, councillors. I'm looking for Suzanne, and I don't see her here. Suzanne in the lobby, perhaps?